Have you noticed how these one world type people, you know, these WEF and the WHO, the people who want to control everything, these unelected bureaucrats who have their think tanks, who then control many of the governments across the world and tell us what's going to happen? Have you noticed how they put their messages across everywhere, sort of hidden in plain sight? Yes, you probably heard that phrase many times now. It seems to be the thing they love to do. You know, they'll put it into feature films. If ever you go to the cinema, you might see a cinema about some dystopian future in which humanity is pretty much downtrodden. It's almost as if it's like conditioning us for what they want. I think there are films that purport to have UFO attacks and that man is all helpless against these UFO attacks. And I think that in the news media, you kind of see that seeping in as if it's a real thing. We're getting these stories about, oh, look at that. Did you see those funny lights in the sky? Oh, must be aliens coming. So they're conditioning us that in the future there could well be a UFO attack. Of course, it's all man-made. It's all made up. It's all not real. But they're conditioning the public by hiding things in plain sight. They're telling us what's going to happen. And we see it all the time. You know, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And you think to yourself, will I? Will I really be happy? But they're conditioning us. It's a kind of a grooming by putting these messages out in plain sight and telling us what they are going to do to us. Of course, it's interesting this, isn't it? And we could just go along with it. We could be part of that and go, oh dear, that's what's going to happen, so be it. Alternatively, we could turn it 180 degrees like they've done to our world and actually use the same techniques against them. I mean, that would be quite fun, wouldn't it? Because if instead of listening to what they're saying and where they're saying, oh, you're going to have digital IDs, you're going to be tracked and traced wherever you go, we're going to take your biometrics, you're going to live in 15-minute cities where if you travel from one place to another, you're effectively going to be penalised. You won't actually be able to take many more than one aeroplane journey a year, and you'll only be able to have one change of clothes. All this sort of nonsense they keep telling us in plain sight. If we actually listen to all of that and take it on board, they are grooming us. But what if we turn that round and instead of accepting all of that rubbish, we just simply tell them what we are going to do? So it's the reverse. So instead of saying, oh, no, no, and protesting all the time and asking for our rights back and saying, oh, we can't have this, and going to the government with a begging bowl and saying, please don't do that. And we try to vote in a different party. And of course, there's only a fag paper between the two main parties. And who else are you going to get? Because they're all corrupt and what have you. And we don't want corrupt politicians who are all under the thumb from those people that want the one world government. Well, why don't we just do the same? Hide in plain sight, or just put bloody obvious in plain sight what we're going to do. Because after all, there's more of us than there are of them. I believe that there are about 8,000 of them that want to control the world ultimately. And yet there's what, 8 billion, is it, across the globe, or something like that, some ridiculous number that we've nearly got up to. There's more of us than them. Why don't we tell them what we're going to do? Tell them, put them on notice. You see, they believe in this karma, don't they? So they have to hide in plain sight what they're going to do. And unless you sort of see it and then say, oh, no, no, we don't want it, then it's as if we've acquiesced to it. So they allow us to do it. Oh dear, there's this problem. Don't worry, we've got a solution. We'll give you some medical intervention. And we go, oh yeah, okay, we'll have that. So we acquiesce. We don't ask actually what's in the medical intervention. We don't examine it ourselves. We take it on face value that it's a good thing. But of course, then they change the meaning of that word, that what the medical intervention actually was. So we don't realise that it's not what we thought it was, and we kind of acquiesce. So instead of all of that nonsense, why don't we tell them? Why don't we tell them that actually this is the future? We're going to be free. We're going to have a situation in which there's no money. We don't need to work and be enslaved. We're going to do things because we want to do things. We're going to help one another. We're going to rebuild this world. We're going to have very heart-based communities. There's a word that you didn't think I would say. Yes, a community that's based on giving, on good principles, on love, on those things that mean something to us, that we're not going to be under the thumb and dependent on these people as if we are like little children with them dishing out stuff. No, they are irrelevant to us. They're no longer required. We don't need these puppet governments that are being controlled from one world governments who are lying to us. We don't need corrupt politicians anymore. Let's put out into plain sight the messages that we want, that we are free, that we are truthful, that we're loving, that we're giving, that we care about one another, that we are going to eat healthy food, we're going to have our skies pure and our water pure. We're going to be in a wonderful situation. We reject all the nonsense that they have, but we tell them what we are going to do. And so in a way it's the same, but it's reverse. And we are therefore, by these positive messages, rebuilding our future, making all these people irrelevant. And by taking money away and saying that we're going to work effectively for nothing, for the good of everybody, and that we're going to make sure that we are looking after one another in a new and exciting way, it strips away their wealth. These billionaires who think they have everything and can fly around in their private jets, polluting the world as they do, and then buying a few bits of land and offsetting it, as they say, because of their so-called carbon they've done with their private jets. Well, imagine all that wealth stripped away from them because we say, actually, money is no longer required. It's irrelevant. We're going to barter, we're going to trade, we're going to give, we're going to do things in a completely different way. We're going to be free. We're going to be raising our spirituality. We're ascending to a far higher and better place than those base people that rely on the sort of enslaving principles of money and need and keeping us controlled and the power. We don't need that. We're going to build something new and fantastic and exciting. We're making them irrelevant. And so let's put into plain sight the things we actually are going to do. It's not what we want. We're not demanding it. We're not asking. We're not small children. We're grown-ups. We're living in a free world and we are taking back control, and we are going to tell them what the world is going to be like, and not the other way round.